Israel is a relatively small state composed of mainly Jewish citizens, surrounded on nearly all sides by Arab nations. The land of Israel was documented in the Bible and in the Jewish holy book called the Torah. The land of Israel was given to the Israelites by God. Israel is located on the eastern edge of the Mediterranean Sea between Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt. Central to the region is Jerusalem, the holiest place on earth by the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Now, when did the Arab-Israeli peace problem begin? The Jewish people were driven out in 135 CE. Then, in the late 19th century, when Benjamin Herzl found the Zionist movement, that is when the Arab-Israeli peace problem began. When early Zionists reached out to the Arabs, and when Benjamin Herzl found the Zionist movement. Herzl wanted a Jewish settlement. Herzl defined Zionism as a national movement for the Jewish people that supports the reestablishment of the Jewish homeland in historic land of Israel, also known as Canaan, the Holy Land, and Palestine. The Jewish people wanted to live in harmony with the Arabs, but sadly that was not the case. In 1937, British commissioners negotiated with David Ben-Gurion, Prime Minister of Israel, that a small percentage of Palestine would be given to a Jewish state. Arab government rejected the plan, and there was no peace with Israel. In 1947, Palestinians and Zionists of the Jewish community worldwide passed a plan to create a Jewish state alongside an Arab state. Arabs did not like the plan and rejected. Then the Arabs prepared for war. In 1948, a state was born. David Ben-Gurion wanted peace for all neighbors. The 5 neighbors of Israel are Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. These 5 nations invaded because they hated the plan. In 1967 to 1979, the 5 Arab nations invaded. It turned into the Six-Day War. Israel offered to return land in order to get peace, but the Arabs rejected. At the Geneva Accords, Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt. Egypt was the first country to sign a peace treaty with Israel. In 1993 to 1994, Israel signed an agreement with Palestine that Palestine will get control of Gaza and the West Bank. In the picture above, you will see King Hussein of Jordan and Yitzhak Rabin shaking hands because they just signed a peace treaty. Jordan was the second country that had peace with Israel. In the early 2000s, President Bill Clinton told Israel they should give up all of Gaza and 96% of the West Bank. All of Jerusalem was given to Palestine, which became an independent state. All parts of eastern Jerusalem became the Palestinian capital. When Israel withdrew from Lebanon, a terrorist group called Hezbollah was created. In 2005, Israel also withdrew soldiers from Gaza, which created more terrorism. The terrorist group created in Gaza was Hamas. In the picture above, you will see 2 boys being held back from practicing their Jewish beliefs. In 2009 and 2012, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu demilitarized the entire state of Palestine and started to build up in the West Bank. Netanyahu then revisited the peace negotiations with Palestine. In 2013 and 2014, in order to make peace, Netanyahu had to make sacrifices and release 78 Palestinian terrorists. President Abbas of Palestine entered into a unity government which caused more problems for Israel. In 2015 to present day, Netanyahu is still trying to make peace with the Palestinians. Both America and Israel are trying to work together to tackle Palestinian terrorism and get rid of violence. Now, some questions we may ask ourselves is how is Israel under a threat today, and how is the U.S. helping Israel? Israel is a central target in the Middle East. It is constantly being targeted by the 2 terrorist groups called Hezbollah and Hamas. Armed groups on Israel's borders have thousands of rockets pointed at the Jewish state. The rockets held by Hamas and Hezbollah could strike every city in Israel. Iran's goal is to swipe Israel off the map. Iran has ballistic missiles and rockets that can reach the entire country and wipe out Israel in 195 seconds, which is no less than 3 minutes. The Iranian terrorist group Hezbollah has estimated to have 150,000 rockets and missiles. Hezbollah practiced to launch 1,000 missiles a day to plan for the future. Iran operates more than a dozen military bases in Syria. When Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007, they also launched thousands of rockets into Israel. The Israeli Defense Force, or the IDF, launched Operation Protective Edge to protect the Israeli citizens. Millions of Israelis had to take cover underground. Where does the U.S. come in? The United States is Israel's biggest ally, especially against Hamas and Hezbollah. The United States and Israel have made investments to develop special technology to protest Israel. For example, the Iron Dome is an Israeli rocket defense system that cost about $1.4 billion. The Iron Dome uses missiles to destroy short-range rockets. If a projectile is headed directly to a major city, the Iron Dome can fire a missile that can intercept another one in midair. The David Sling is another form of defense that costs $1.3 billion. It is designed to provide protection for Israel and the United States against medium-ranged missiles. Arrow is the third defense system that costs $2.8 billion. It was built to destroy long-range missiles. The U.S. and Israel come up with Arrow and is considered to be the most advanced defense technology in military history. How do we as a community get involved in the Israel-Arab peace process? AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC empowers pro-Israel activists across all ages, religions, races, and political parties to be politically engaged and build relationships with members of Congress to promote the U.S.-Israel relationships. AIPAC is here to ensure Israel is able to defend itself. The Jewish state needs critical security assistance to defend against increased threats by terrorist groups. AIPAC also has to work to prevent Iran from gaining a nuclear weapon capability in order to protect the security of the United States and Israel. In 2018, President Donald Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Jerusalem has always been the capital of Israel, just no country would ever recognize it. Now, Guatemala and the U.S. are moving their embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. To this day, Israel is still having trouble making peace with the Palestinians.